like music like this?
Great music all the time.
Or like this?
The music you love.
Maybe this.
Great music that makes you want to turn up the volume loud.
Or like this.
Especially where human life is concerned. Surely, sooner or later, people will realize that lives actually matter.
Then you're in the right place. Keep it locked to World Jam Global, where music is harmony.
Music 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
Yeah, you're my World Jam. Hotter than them.
See live schedule.
I want to say a big good evening going out to each and every one of you right across the globe. Once again, it's Saturday night. It's 6 o'clock. It's time for Issues Today.
I already did my time. I paid for my crime.
Alongside your host, that's me this evening. We've got Sarah Clark from Bradford.
I paid for my crime. I already did my time.
It's been a long time since we've done a show based in the UK.
I already did my time. I paid for my crime.
But we're looking at the case of a young man, Anthony Davis.
Back in the day, I didn't really care about this.
Today's show, Word of Mouth,
Survival.
looks at the issues of supergrass in particular.
I was too young.
I thought they'd gone away.
In school, I learned my lessons in the streets. There was not a man I couldn't beat.
Many a case have been overturned just because of the
I had girls all
inconsistent evidence given by a supergrass or a paid informer or
game has been rearranged.
somebody who's given evidence because they've got something to gain.
And it ain't about being no gangster. Life is too short to spend it all in jail. Trying to cope with this living hell. Already did my.
Well, I've had a little bit of time to look at the information on this case.
Already did my time.
And I'm telling you, hold on to your hat because this journey is going to be a bit rocky.
Did my time. I paid for my crime. Already did my time. I paid for my crime. Already did my time. I paid for my crime. I was a drug dealer, sold more drugs than Superfly, but I never got high on my own supply. I'm not proud of what I had to do. That's why I'm telling my story to you and you. I had to repent. I must admit, I was doing all kind of stupid shit. Now sit back and think it over since I've gotten older. The life I used to live, I wouldn't do it again. I was young and dumb, my brain was so numb. I was a real Forrest Gump, but I was nobody's chump. Me and Billy the Kid had a lot in common. I was the real Terminator, much meaner than Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'd chew you up and spit you out like a real alligator, especially all you haters.
The opening statements are going on right now. He could be facing life in prison.
Already did my time, paid for my crime. Already did my time. Already did my time, paid for my crime. Already did my time. Pay for my crime, pay for my crime, pay for my crime, pay for my crime. Already did my time, I paid for my crime. Already did my time, I paid for my crime. I'm trying to get this felony off my back so I can get my life on track and have the right to vote and live like an ordinary citizen again. This is my message to all of my friends in the pen, statewide, worldwide. There was not a man I couldn't beat. I was good with my hands and very quick on my feet. I was swimming in women. I had girls all over the street. I was getting money. Life was so sweet. Now things have changed. The whole game has been rearranged. I'm a changed man. Don't need no gun in my hand. It ain't about being no gangster. Life is too short to spend it all in jail. Trying to cope with this living hell. Already did my time. I paid for my crime. Already did my time. I paid for my crime. Already did my time. I paid for my crime. Already did my time.
Some of my guests next week will be Charlene Gray, speaking on behalf of Donna Hockman.
I paid for my crime.
Currently incarcerated in the United States of America.
Sold more drugs than Superfly, but I never.
Another wrongful conviction, I believe.
I'm not proud of what I had to do. That's why I'm telling my story to you and you. I had to repent.
I kind of guess sometimes we just... It goes over our head, really, the amount of cases where the evidence is so overwhelmingly clear that the individual should not be convicted, found guilty, behind bars, doing time, away from their family. But someone has just made that decision that...
All you haters already did my time.
You know, my mother used to say, well, there ain't no smoke without fire, and I guess a lot of us believe in that principle also.
Already did my time.
But I've got a simple answer to that. Somebody started the fire.
Facing life in prison.
Well.
But today, as we talk with Sarah Clark, you're going to hear the impassioned plea of a wife who's not just standing by her husband. It's not a case of I'm standing by my man. Sarah Clark will tell you she's standing by the truth.
Yes, I am. 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 Trying to cope with this living here.
Don't forget, you can catch me tomorrow morning for my gospel show. That's the Wake Up Everybody Sunday gospel show, church before church. That's between the hours of 8 and 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
But it's Saturday night.
Come, thy will be done.
We're on World Jam Global Radio. It's Issues Today.
Give us this day a day.
And the theme of today's show is
And forgive us our trespasses.
word of mouth.
Forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Don't forget, you can join us on www.worldjamglobalradio.com.
Amen.
Or you can find us on the TuneIn app on your smartphones. Or you can get us on digital audio broadcasting.
All those drive-by killers.
World Jam Global Radio going out worldwide.
It ain't about nothing.
Across the globe.
He who was out sin, let him cast the first stone. I'm trying to get this felony off my back so I can get my life on track and have the right to vote and live like an ordinary citizen again. This is my message to all of my friends in the pen, statewide, worldwide, and put down those knives. Stop stabbing each other.
As Ronnie Canada says, I paid for my crime.
Yeah.
But some people are doing time, have done no crime at all. And today we talk to another such an advocate standing in for her husband. I guess it's time to introduce our guest. With no further ado, a big warm welcome to Sarah Clark. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
You okay?
Yes, thank you.
Do you want to start off by just telling the audience just a little bit about yourself, please?
Well, I'm the partner of Anthony Davis, who has been wrongly convicted, who was sentenced to a 35-year minimum term sentence.
Okay, and how long were you married to Anthony? How long have you been married?
I've been with him 12 years.
Okay. So you were obviously with him at the time that he was arrested and charged with this?
Yeah.
Okay. Before we talk about the case, let's find out a little bit about Anthony, shall we? What kind of a guy was Anthony? I mean, how did you meet?
We met through a mutual friend, but I've actually known Anthony since he was at school. He's a little bit older than me, but he actually went to school with my sister. So I can remember Anthony from years ago. He was quite good friends with my sister, actually. They used to socialise in school and out of school, and you know, he was just a genuinely nice lad, really.
Oh, and then he caught your eye.
Yeah.
I mean, being married to him means that you have access to his family, family portfolios, the photographs, and obviously all of the stories. So, in speaking with his parents, and he probably must have had siblings if he did or not. So, but if he did have siblings, I mean, in speaking to the family, what sort of a guy was Anthony growing up?
He was very athletic. Anthony was into rugby. You know, I think he was a choir boy at some point in his earlier years. You know, all for his family, looking after his family, making sure his family are okay. He's a really you know, strong, family-orientated person.
Okay, and then obviously started going to school. What sort of a pupil? I mean, you said that you went to school with him.
Yeah, I didn't go to the school. I didn't go to the school with him at the same time. He went to school with my sister.
Okay.
But he had lots of friends. You know, all the friends that Anthony went to school with. He's still friends with them today. You know, I've never met one person that's got a negative word to say about him. You know, they all say he's a likeable character. You know, a bit of a joke, but you know, they all have nice things to say about him.
And growing up, did he get into trouble a lot? Did he get into trouble a bit? What sort of a, you know?
I don't think he were an angel, but I don't think he were the worst case. You know, so I think he were just a typical lad growing up, I suppose.
I mean, you know, did he have any serious convictions? You know, stuff that would have sort of put him on the police radar?
No, not in school time. I wouldn't. No.
And then growing up, obviously into his teens, as he started to develop, have girlfriends, and was sort of at the age where he can do other things and do his own thing. What sort of things did he get up to then?
I think he just working, and obviously going out with his friends and just things like that. Really, I think you know, I think he just lived a normal, typical lad's life. Really, to be honest.
Okay, let's hold that thought there, because for me that just sounds like a typical family man who grew up, had ambitions, worked, got married, found his wife. Do you have children together?
Yeah, we have children. I have 2 children to Anthony, and Anthony also has 3 other children to a previous relationship. So we have 5 children between us.
Okay. And I take it that the children are 100%, missing their dad. And
yeah, they do, and all the children have a really good relationship together. To say that Anthony's been in prison for over 10 years, the children all really, really get on. You know, it's not a case of we're half sisters and we're half brothers. It's the brothers and sisters, and they really do get on together. You know, they're all in the same boat, aren't they? Really.
And how has his family been affected by his imprisonment, his incarceration?
Well, it's not been good, really. Anthony's mum suffers with some illnesses. It's just taken its toll. I mean, there's people like a few years ago, Anthony's grandma died, and he wasn't able to go to a funeral. There's just been things like that. There's been, birthdays missed, Christmases missed, weddings missed. But it's obviously his family are getting older, so it has taken its toll on them, to be honest.
So here's a question before we really go into it. Here's one question for you. Bearing in mind on everything that you said so far, would you say that Anthony's arrest came by total surprise and out of the blue?
I don't think the police. I think what happened is, I think the police have used Anthony as an example. I think that's what's happened. I think they've used him as an example to show to other people, what can be the outcome, really. I don't think they really liked, if we're going to be honest, I don't think they really liked Anthony. So this came out of the blue, obviously, the nature of what they arrested him for, but whether the arrest itself came out of the blue,
Was Anthony your typical lad who just wouldn't take no nonsense and voiced his opinions?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So therefore, if seen in the crowd, for example, out with his mates or on a Saturday night, and he had no problem voicing how he felt on what he saw, right?
No, not at all.
But he wasn't an active criminal.
No, and he wasn't a troublemaker either. He wasn't. He wouldn't be going out looking for trouble.
You see, because the thing is, when I asked this question about whether this came out of the blue and was it a total surprise, you have the type of people that are getting involved in certain things types of things that, you know, when you hear of them being arrested, it's of no surprise that it happened, you know. But that's not, you know, that doesn't sound typical of Anthony so far. So for me, being a family member, whether he had a voice on him or not, an opinion on him or not, being arrested like this would have been a totally out of the blue and a total surprise to me, because it doesn't sound like this is the type of involvement that he would have had based on what I've been reading so far.
Yeah, okay.
You understand what I mean now?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So I just want the audience to try and get an understanding of the type of person that Anthony was, as to how it could be possibly conceived that somebody might think that he could do such a thing. Because let's get it right, this wasn't a nice crime.
No.
Okay, so for somebody to be guilty of this crime, they're going to have to be a pretty wicked and evil person.
Yeah.
Okay, so Anthony wasn't like that, was he?
No, definitely not.
So for me, in answer to my own question, if I was answering it on your behalf, I would have said that came as a total surprise, because that's not his character, that's not his makeup, that's not what he was about. Yeah. Whereas there's many other people that we know in our communities that walks around our streets, that goes to the nightclubs and stuff, that if somebody was to mention their name and tied it up with something like this, you would have said, "Oh, I could have believed that of them," type of thing.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Okay. So let's start taking a look at the events that took place. Now, take me through the story as you know it. Not what they said that Anthony did. What happened to this man, and how they say it happened.
Right. Basically, in August of 2007, a gang burst into a Bradford home of a man named Edward Simpson with the intent of robbery. Edward Simpson is alleged to have put up a fight and was beaten and killed, and then his body was later found on some wasteland. Basically, how the police have portrayed it is that it's a robbery gone wrong.
Okay, and Mr. Simpson was known in the area for doing what?
I think he was just a businessman. That's what. There's obviously different things going around, but I think he was known as being a businessman. I think he dealt in, I don't know if it was stone or cars, but he was just a local businessman.
Okay. Did Anthony know him at all?
No.
Okay. So this guy is at home. A gang breaks into his house, bursts through, and let's get it right. Back around that time, there was a lot of this going on around the country, wasn't there?
Yeah.
There was several business people and other people being targeted, people who were known to have possessions, or even just for their cars, etc. Houses were being robbed and the keys for the cars were taken, and people who were known to have businesses or keep money in the house were being robbed by various types of gangs up and down the country. This wasn't a one-off thing, or it was a common practice back around that time, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm pretty aware of several such like robberies that took place up and down the country, where either drug dealers were targeted or business individuals were targeted. Jewelry was taken, property was taken, cars was taken, anything of value was taken, and people held hostage. Most of them just tied up and let go afterwards. But there were some fatalities. On this occasion, it turns out that this one was a fatality, right?
Yeah.
So how did they say Mr. Simpson died? What was the severity of it? How was he beaten? And
yeah, they say he was tortured, badly beaten, tortured, and he was obviously killed from the way that he was tortured and attacked, basically.
Okay, so there you have it. With all due respect, a man has been burgled, robbed, and then left for dead, and unfortunately he died.
Yeah, and then he was taken to some. His body was found at some wasteland. His body was obviously dumped somewhere at some wasteland afterwards.
Okay, so now obviously the body's found and the police start an investigation, don't they?
Yeah.
So tell me how that investigation started. Was Anthony one of the first to be arrested, or what?
Yeah, he was arrested and obviously interviewed.
No, but was he one of the first to be arrested?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so because you're talking about there was a gang.
Yeah.
And the other people that was arrested with Anthony, were they known to him also?
Some were and some wasn't. Some wasn't known to him at all.
Okay, so talk me through that. So there are a group of people that are arrested, and were all of the people that were arrested charged?
Yeah, there was charged. Yeah, there was obviously interviewed and questioned, and then there was still being charged. Yeah.
Okay, so how soon after them being arrested were they charged?
It was a matter of. It wasn't long. I think it was I think it was a matter of. I don't know. It wasn't long afterwards when they was charged with the death of this man.
Right, okay. So I suppose what I'm really trying to get to, Sarah, is I'm trying to look at how quickly they found a body, how quickly they arrested people, and how quickly those people that they arrested were charged. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I think it all happened relatively quickly.
In days, weeks?
Yeah, weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
Days, weeks. Yeah.
And so the police were quite sure that they had knuckled it down to the actual gang. Now, what gave them reason to believe that this group of people were a gang?
I don't know. They had reason to believe that, you know, they'd all been involved, and that Anthony was one of the organisers, and these other people were the people that had been recruited to carry out this robbery.
Okay, because this is where I begin to struggle with the story, based on what I've read. Because for me, I was born and raised in the ghetto. I know what it's like to live in a council flat or in a council estate. I know what it's like to live around gangs, and I know what that's like. So in the areas of London where I was born and raised, there's several different types of gangs, and even in the same estate. But you'd be able to identify them as groups of people that hang out with each other, that went to clubs with one another, that played in the same football team or something, or whether it's just a case of them playing cards or dominoes or something like that. But there were people that you could actually put together and say, well, hang on a minute, these guys. So what I'm trying to get out of you, I suppose, is what made them put this group of people together? Because I'll tell you what, gangs are gangs, friends are friends. But to go out and commit a murder with somebody, you got to be pretty sure that these people have got your back.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and the three people that are alleged to have carried out this robbery gone wrong, all claim that they did not know Anthony. They'd never seen Anthony before. They had no history with Anthony. They didn't. It wasn't Anthony that they'd had any links with whatsoever. But the CPS and the police just didn't want having none of that.
Okay, so they put together this case. 5 people. So talk me through the trial. What started to manifest itself at the trial? For example, when it went to trial, were you guys just thinking to yourselves, all right, well, he'll be out soon. They'll discover the truth, and you know.
Yeah, definitely, because obviously we knew he'd not done this. Anthony's solicitor at that time was telling us, it's crazy. We know he's not done this. You've got to bear in mind there were no evidence to support the fact that Anthony had done this. The only evidence was the words of one man, which obviously we'll go into later. That was it. Nothing else. You know, there was no evidence to put Anthony at the scene. Nothing. Witness statements that didn't match the description of Anthony. So we're under the impression of how can you get found guilty when you know that person's not done it.
And I mean, Mr. Simpson, as far as I'm aware, was a car dealer.
Yeah.
Right. He was tortured, beaten, and murdered.
Yeah.
They referred to it as a gang of robbers.
Yeah, robbery gone wrong, yeah.
And they referred to Mr. Simpson as an easy target.
Yeah.
Teddy Simpson was his name.
hmm
And in total, 7 men, including 3 from Bradford, which is where obviously your son comes from, or where you guys come from. So, why? I mean, the story goes that this Teddy Simpson was a drug dealer, right?
Yeah, I've heard that.
and-
I didn't want to say that because at the end of the day, I want to stress that what happened to that man was still, you know.
No, I'm not trying to justify anything, but he was supposed to have been a car dealer, drug dealer,
Yeah.
and the gang that went into the house were expecting to find
Money or yeah.
a substantial amount of money,
Yeah.
and that's what I was trying to get to when I said earlier on there was a spate
Yeah.
of these type of robberies up and down
Yeah,
the country,
yeah, yeah.
where drug dealers in particular were seen as easy targets because
Yeah.
they always had either money or a portion of drugs sat there, which was a sizable amount,
Yeah.
right? But somebody, one of the 7 must have had some knowledge of what they were going to expect to find in that house. Okay, so from your memory at the beginning of this case, as it went to trial, who were they saying was the connector? Who was the link to Teddy Simpson and the gang?
I think they were saying one of Anthony's co-accused basically was aware of what they were expected to find, and what they'd done in the house with the intention on his what he was alleged to have known of the victim.
Right. Okay. So let's try and get to how Anthony manages to get himself connected to this. So
Yeah.
they've got 7 men. They're on remand, but they're all on. I take it they're all on remand.
Yeah.
And what was the evidence? What was it? What was the evidence linking them to this horrific murder?
There was no evidence of Anthony, like I say. It was just the words of this one man. What's happened is one of the men has been placed into like a SOCPA agreement.
Okay.
Which is an agreement made between a specified prosecuting authority with a defendant willing to provide assistance to them with a view of securing immunity, basically. It's like a bit like a get-out-of-jail-free card, to be honest. So he's obviously gone into this, been put into the SOCPA agreement with West Yorkshire Police, who's been running this case.
And so he didn't get a sentence at all, did he?
Well, what happened is, he initially he was being treated upon as a suspect who was believed to have been heavily involved in this himself. But on entering that SOCPA agreement, his charge was reduced from murder to that of manslaughter, which resulted in him getting a 7-year sentence, and he served 3.5 years. Obviously, he's living under a new identity now.
Okay. So, and this was the so-called supergrass, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, they have this supergrass who now goes and turns Queens, as we used to refer to it back then. They've given him a deal, and now he's now providing the police with all of this information.
Yeah.
He is admitted to him being involved.
I don't think he's admitted to him being involved, but I think what's happened is he's admitted to him knowing what's been going on, and that's how he's been able to provide them with the information of who was involved, who did what, who knew what, etc.
Okay. So now, explain to us now what took place as the supergrass started to give his evidence. What was said about Anthony? What was Anthony's role meant to be in this?
Right. Anthony's role is supposed to be the organiser. So basically, Sonny Stewart said he was with Anthony Davis on the night on the night that Edward Simpson was murdered. He said that there was calls made from Sonny Stewart's phone to the people that were supposed to be raiding the house. Now, Sonny claims that Anthony was the one using his phone. It was Anthony that was making them calls from his phone to the people that are supposed to be in the house doing the robbery. However, cell site analysis proves that Anthony wasn't with Sonny. Anthony was over 5 miles away from the scene of the crime, but the same cell site put Sonny Stewart at the crime scene. So the assertion that Davis was using Stewart's phone to direct the robbery is impossible. An expert witness who analysed calls made at the time of the robbery even said at the first trial that he didn't believe that the pair were together. However, on the second trial, he was replaced by a different expert. So, we had an expert confirming that he did not believe that them two people was together. The cell site from Sonny Stewart's phone puts him at the robbery address, and Anthony's cell site put him over 5 miles away. The police don't dispute. The courts have never said that they've put Anthony at the scene. They've confirmed. They've never argued that. They know Anthony was 5 miles away from the crime scene. But if Sonny Stewart's phone is being used to make calls from his phone to the people in the house, and the expert is saying that Sonny Stewart and Anthony are not together, it's impossible, then how can Anthony be using Sonny's phone? It can't be happening, can it?
It can't be, and let's just get it right. Sonny Stewart is the man that we're referring to as the Supergrass, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Right, so although 7 men were in the dock, they're actually saying that 8 men carried out this robbery. Yeah. So Anthony's role was organizer.
Yeah.
And he was orchestrating it from a distance.
Yeah, that was so they allege. Yeah.
So you see, when I asked you this question at the very beginning of the show to explain to us what Anthony was like as an individual, can you see where I'm coming from now? Because now,
of course.
now you've got to start looking at this guy as a skillful, conniving, gangland thug. Who's orchestrating and able to manipulate and manage other individuals to carry out murder. Mm-hmm. He must be one ruthless dude. Mm-hmm, exactly. So I'm saying that type of character would have been readily known to the police in various aspects.
Yeah.
So did he have a history of criminal convictions?
And when Anthony was younger, I think... he did get into. I think he got into some kind of trouble for. I think it was something to do with bank cards. I think it was some sort of something on them lines. But it was something petty. He's never been. He's never ever been charged or done for something that were. I mean, wow, this is massive. Do you know what I mean? They're trying to portray him as some sort of notorious.
Yeah.
Gangster, really. This. What I know of Anthony is. No disrespect, and I mean, I do not mean this in a rude way. He wouldn't be capable of organising a pub crawl.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So, Anthony is now put down as the organizer by Sonny.
Yeah.
Sonny Stewart.
Yeah.
So, was there a relationship between did Sonny and Anthony have a relationship? Were they friends? Did they know each other well?
Yeah, no, they had a really good relationship. Sonny Stewart and Anthony grew up together. Sonny's mum and Anthony's mum grew up together, and they were really good friends. They were they had the relationship similar to that of cousins, really, but obviously just not blood related. They'd grown up together. They had a really, really good, really, really close relationship.
So I suppose the question to ask is why would Sonny put Anthony in the frame and have him up as a leader? Yeah,
do you know why? This is my honest opinion on my heart, because Sonny Stewart was in such a deep hole that the only thing he could do is try and shift that onto somebody else, because if he hadn't have done that, he would have been in prison. for a very long time himself. In police interview, when the interview starts, they say, what do you hope to achieve by speaking to us today? And he says, to hopefully, not receive a murder charge and to receive a manslaughter charge, and not to be finding myself, not to be getting charged of murder. I mean.
This must be very hard for you, Sarah.
Well, I tell you why it's hard, because I know people are under the impression, she's naive, she's just, obviously when you love someone, you can't see the truth. It's a case of, love is blind and all that. That's not the case. I've seen so much evidence which supports this man was lying. The fact that police authorities must have known that he was lying, but yet they've chose to honour an agreement with the man when they've known full well that he was present at that house. He was lying through his teeth, and they let him stand as a witness of truth, and he wasn't speaking one word of truth. We have so much evidence. I mean, let me just talk about another compelling piece of evidence that we have. It's a footprint found in congealed blood at the scene of the murder. Okay. And it was a possible match to a pair of distinctive Nike wrist trainers which were recovered from Sonny Stewart's house. The police officer who photographed the footprints at the murder house also singled out these trainers at Sonny Stewart's home as they were left in the hallway, away from his other shoes. Not only did she photograph them, she took them away before the senior officers arrived to do the main search. The CCTV footage shows the police logs record that the police constable took the shoes back to the station, where they were put in a store cupboard for over a month. While other items found in the search of Sonny Stewart's home were forwarded to a forensic lab, the trainers were eventually placed into a sealed brown envelope and sent not to a forensic lab, but to the West Yorkshire Footwear Bureau, where they couldn't be analysed, only viewed through a clear window in the envelope. The trainers were at the Bureau for over 2 months, during which they were never ever tested for blood or print comparisons, and also the police gave Stewart his shoes back before the appeal case, so they couldn't actually be analysed properly.
So, at the trial, was the evidence of the footprint that was found ever raised?
No, it wasn't shown to the jury. This was all hidden. Basically, we have to abbreviate what we've got. Basically, we have the footprints which are overlaps. It shows you the print in the house and the print of the bottom of the trainers like an overlap, and it is a clear match. I mean,
and these weren't a common pair of trainers either, were they?
No, they were Nike Arista. I actually emailed Nike to see if this print was just special, if it was just with them shoes. And if on the Nike Rift trainers, I don't know if you're aware of the ones, they have like a strap over. They're a bit like summer shoes, and they have like a strap over, and the big toe is sort of it's sort of defined from the rest of the.
No, I know.
Yeah, like that. So the print, it's a clear. I've seen these photos. I've shown these prints to people where they can, they've said, that is a clear match. We've also got the descriptions of the gunman. What happened is, when this robbery was taking place, one of Teddy Simpson's friends interrupted the robbery. I must have just gone to call to see him, and obviously interrupted what was going on and was dragged into the house. So he witnessed things that was going on. Now, he is given a description of the gunman, a clear description, and that description of the gunman describes Sonny Stewart down to a T. His height, his colour of his skin, tattoos, the way he speaks, camouflage jacket, so the witness that's disrupted this robbery has actually placed has placed Sonny Stewart at the crime scene himself, because the description that is given matches him.
So, and by the way, the name of this individual was Gary Fulcard, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So Gary Fulcard, who was Mr. Simpson's friend, and he'd been trying to get hold of him apparently, and he said, and because he didn't answer his phone, he went to the house, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then obviously disturbed what was taking place at the time, and was beaten up almost quite badly by the guys, right?
Yeah.
and he was left helpless to watch as as Teddy Simpson was dragged out of the house.
Yep.
Okay, so he would have been an eyewitness.
Exactly. Yeah.
With nothing to gain. No reason to lie. No deal. He wasn't a suspect. He was an eyewitness, and he was also a victim, as well as a friend of the murdered individual.
Yep.
And so he gives a clear and precise description of of what he saw and who he saw, and the description that he gives matches
That
Sonny
Stewart
to a T.
Yep.
To a T.
Yep. Everything about him: his height, his build, the colour of his skin, the way he talks, the slang.
And let's be clear. How contrasting of a difference is Anthony to Sonny?
The different colours for a start off. Anthony's
so let's just get it right. He couldn't have got that wrong, right?
No.
Okay. So first and foremost,
Anthony has actually quite a bad lisp, which you'd only have to be speaking to him for 5 minutes to know that he had this lisp. So he doesn't speak the same sort of slang that Sonny Stewart speaks. He's lighter skinned. It's quite easy to tell the two apart. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no mistaking them.
No, not at all.
So Gary Fulcard gives a total description of somebody who does not match Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Yes, they still are allowed to believe that Sonny Stewart was the one that wasn't there, and Anthony Davis.
They're still standing on. The police are still standing on to the fact that Sonny Stewart wasn't present at that house. Sonny Stewart was with Anthony all night, and that Anthony was making the phone calls off of Sonny Stewart's phone. Even though we have, so far we've covered the fact that we have the cell site analysis that places Sonny Stewart at the house and Anthony 5 miles away. We've got the fact that an independent witness that's turned up at the house to check on his friend has described someone that matches Sonny Stewart being present at the house. Not only does he match him being present at the house, but he's describing him as being the gunman, the one that's carrying out the orders and instructing, telling the others what to do.
So, onto the cell site evidence. So, at the time that the crime was being committed, was there evidence that phone calls were being made to the individuals at the house?
Yeah, from Sonny Stewart's phone.
From Sonny Stewart's phone.
Yep.
But if Sonny Stewart was there with the gun, how could he be making phone calls?
Because he'll have been outside, won't he? What's happened is he won't have gone in straight away.
Right.
It'll have been a case of liaising with them. Or if Sonny Stewart is outside, or one of them is outside trying to find things, because it was like a house with land, like a yard at the back. If they're trying to uncover things, they're having to communicate with each other. They're not going to be stood. Bearing in mind, this house is on a main road. They're not going to be shouting.
But I also want to get to the point. The phone that was making the calls to those that were inside the house were in the vicinity. They were that phone was in the area.
Yeah.
It was outside the house.
Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't like Anthony Davis was 5 miles away at least.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. And yet, the phone that they're saying that Anthony was using was outside the house.
Yeah.
So
was in the vicinity. Yeah, was under the phone mast that covers the address where this is going on. Bearing in mind, the mast that's covering where Anthony is not on that same mast, is nowhere near it.
So, what you have is somebody outside the house giving orders as to what to do and where to find stuff.
Yeah.
It's not turning out as easy as they expected.
Yeah.
So he's now got to go inside.
Yeah.
At that point, or at some point after that, while he is inside, Gary Fulcard turns up, having tried to get hold of Teddy Simpson.
Yeah.
And is now confronted by what's taking place, which is a robbery. Did Gary Fulcard ever give testimony as to how many individuals he saw inside the house?
Yeah, he gives statements. Yeah. What he said is, right, this is really important as well. The people convicted of being present inside the house was 2 black men and 1 white man. Right. Gary Folkard's descriptions never ever describes there being a white man present. He clearly states in all of his statements that he saw 3 black men, he got the presence of a 4th, but never saw a 4th man. So he could only state that it were 3 men. Now, he describes all 3 men as being black.
Wow.
All 3 men as being black. He never describes one of the men being white, but yet 2 black men and 1 white man has been convicted of being present at that house. In none of his statements does it say he saw a white man.
And he was the only eyewitness.
At the house, yeah, present, yeah.
Except for the Supergrass Sonny Stewart.
Yep.
Okay. Who says he wasn't there?
Yeah.
Okay. So, now, of those that have been convicted, earlier on you said that the 3 men that were convicted said that they didn't know Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
They'd never met him.
Yep.
They've never spoken to him.
Nope.
So, did they say that in evidence?
Yeah, they did say that, but what happened is the Crown Prosecution Service, the police that was obviously running that investigation at the time, the way that they put that across to the courtroom is that basically they was in fear of Anthony. They were saying out of a fear of repercussions, that Anthony had power over them all, and that they were saying that purely out of fear.
Okay, let me just bring in Anthony's defence here for a minute. What was his defence barrister like? Was his defence barrister representative of him? Because to me it sounds like he wasn't being defended very well.
Yeah, I think that is what happened. I'll tell you the gospel honest truth. What happened is Anthony had 2 trials. On the first trial, he was found. Do you know where the jury cannot come to a unanimous decision?
Yeah.
It's basically
Hung jury.
So he had to have a retrial. Now, on the first trial, Anthony got up and he took the stand and he answered. I think it was 3 days that he was answering questions in this stand. End of the day, he was telling the truth. He had nothing to fear, and he took the stand, and that was the outcome of the fact that they couldn't come to a unanimous decision. So they ordered a retrial. Now, on the retrial, Anthony was given the advice of not to take the stand. His acting solicitor or barrister basically advised him, do not take the stand. So obviously, you're gonna take the advice of the people that are being paid to represent you, because obviously they're supposed to know what they're talking about. Now, when it came to summing up, I think that the judge basically stated that he had his opportunity to take the stand and he didn't, and I think that went against him.
Absolutely, it always does, unfortunately. And
I think had Anthony have taken the stand on the second trial like he'd have taken the stand on the first, I think he would have been found not guilty.
Probably, and probably, and
Yeah.
the thing is, it always surprises me when somebody who claims to be innocent refuses to take the stand, because if my life depended on it, I'm not going down without a fight.
Exactly.
If it's my mouth that incriminates me, then it could only be my mouth that sets me free.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'd rather it be me rather than somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm really struggling to see how Gary Folkard can give the information that he's given, the descriptions that he's given, how the 3 men convicted of being in the house can testify that they didn't know him, and yet the police are allowed to present almost an alternative case, contrary and conflicting of the evidence that was available, and the jury were able to buy it without much of a fight from the defence.
Yeah. Basically, the only way I can describe it, really, with it giving you a clear look on what it was his word against. It was basically, when you're in a school playground and it's like his word against his word, because that's what it was. If I went over all the evidence that we've got, I'd be here all night. I have a letter. I have a letter which was sent from Sonny Stewart to a co-accused when he was on remand. He sent a letter advising the other one of what to say when it came to court.
Come on, let's talk about that.
I mean, I've shown people this letter and they can't believe it, to be honest. I've actually got a justice page for Anthony, and I've put some evidence extracts on there because I don't want people to think, this is a case of just I'm naive. I want them to see the fact that it's not got nothing to do with naivety. It's the fact that I'm speaking facts. I wouldn't be fighting if I hadn't have seen these things. People saying, wow, surely to God, this has got to be a game changer. I can't believe what I've just read. This letter is basically saying, I don't know if you want me to read it out.
Yes, please.
That obviously it's been amended, so it's hard for you to get the gist of what's going on, really, because it's been amended. But so basically, he sends a letter to a co-defendant whilst on remand. Yo, blood, you need to put these in your statement so it matches up to mine. I'm sending you mine down as well so you know what's up. When I met you at the Shell petrol station, I was in Jigger's orange Jigger is Anthony's nickname. So when I met you at the Shell petrol station, I was in Jigger's orange Focus with him driving, and the Asian man was in my car. I got in Jigger's car and came over and said the following, and said follow us. When you followed us, we went. When you followed us, we went to Cutler Heights Lane, which is off Tong Street, and were near my house. Jigger got out of the car. When we were up, he asked you if you was up for it. No, not me. I stayed in the car. It says here. When we drove past the house, we didn't see anybody in the yard, yeah? Then when we pulled up on a side road, Jigger got out of the car again and told you where to go and what the house is next to. When Jigger is going into detail again about the job, forget all that about how you have got, it's hard to read, how you have got it sounds better if we have discussed, right, okay. Forget about all that about have you got, shoot my brief, something about have you got, sorry, I'm going on my email. So it says, my brief said it sounds better if we have discussed it, me and you the night before, and it was that we talked about, and that would be what you would be going in with, so he would see that and hand over the cash. Do you understand? And he rang up that white kid, and he was going on to standby because he didn't take long to get there. It is important you would say it just like this. When you was in the house and you used the phone, when the phone was pick up, you was not talking to me. You was talking to Jigger because he had a lisp, and he was supposed to be telling you where the money is and the tape from the CCTV. And when the white man came to me and you in the woods, he came in a white transit van. These are the things you need to put into your story exactly how I have put it. Now, there's loads of amendments in that. The reason why I find it hard to read, sorry about that, is because it's crossed a load of it out. Yeah. You've got to understand, if you're writing a letter to somebody and you're trying to tell someone what to say, you're going to write the truth down. It's only when you're looking at it thinking, oh, God, crossing it out. So then there's some missing text. There's a missing text paragraph in that letter. And it's wrote, these are the things you need to put into your story exactly how I have put it. And are you going to say that you stayed behind with the man, or what? Let me know, Sam.
Yeah.
So he's basically, can you see how he's trying to coerce him with what to say? How he's saying to him, say you were speaking to the one with the list.
He's not trying to coerce him, he is coercing him.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's giving him absolute instruction as to what to say, how to say it, and what to put in his statements in order so that their statements corroborate and they're in unison. It's a united front. Okay, so and this is one of those that had actually said prior to this that they'd never met Anthony.
Yeah, exactly. This is obviously someone. Yeah, this is someone that clearly claims he's never met Anthony before. He didn't know Anthony. He'd not had any dealings with Anthony at all.
The prosecutor said that DNA evidence suggested that both men had the gun put in their mouths and were assaulted in the hall, right? So obviously there was a gun. Was the gun ever found?
No.
So the gun that was being used in the robbery was never traced.
It was supposed to be an imitation firearm.
Okay.
Yeah, an imitation one. Obviously, when Son is in the police interview, he says it's just he clearly states in it this man was supposed to be a shiverer. Just the thought of 3 big black men going in was enough to make him shiver and hand over the money.
Wow. I mean, Sonny seems to have too much information not to be the chief. And I can't see how he was not seen. But I get it, you see. I think the one thing that we need to learn about how the law operates is that once he has gone to being Queen's, and he is their star witness, so to speak, it's almost as if he's removed from the equation as being the main suspect anymore. And they now have to find someone else to fit that bill.
Yeah.
But it seems like Sonny always had Anthony up front as a person that was going to take this fall. And I've got to somehow you've got to try and think that there must have been something else going on with them for him to be prepared to put his so-called friend, best friend, buddy, somebody he'd grown up with for years, known for years.
Yeah.
I was, put him out to.
I think personally that much pressure was put on him. Listen, I'm not sticking up for Sonny Stewart. At the end of the day, what he's done's wrong. I mean, how he sleeps at night, I'll never know, to be honest. But I think what's happened is I think he had so much pressure on his shoulders that he was in this so deep, and I think basically he had no choice. I think that's what he did it for. I think it was a case of saving his own skin, if I'm honest.
But why didn't he just put it on one of the others that were at the house?
I don't know. I don't think. I don't know. Was he being coerced to put it on Anthony's shoulders by the police? Did the police not like Anthony? I don't know. Do I? I don't know what were put forward to Sonny Stewart. I mean, when I'd just given birth, me and Anthony had a little girl. Approximately 2 or 3 weeks after he'd been remanded into custody. And I remember not long, I'd come home, so I'd only been home a day or 2 days, and there was a knock on the door. And obviously at this point, no one knew what Sonny Stewart was doing. No one knew what he, that he was, I don't know, being a police informant, I don't know. But he knocked on the door, he said hi, I opened the door, I let him in, and he said, I've just come to see the baby, can I have a hold of the baby? And I just said, yeah, that's fine. Give him the baby, and he was just sat on the sofa with his head just like, I know it's hard to give you a visual because it's obviously on the telephone, but just sat with the baby in his hands, just staring down at the baby for about 10 or 15 minutes, just staring like in a trance. And the only thing at that point, I didn't suspect anything. I thought obviously he's just come to give his best wishes, saying to me, are you okay, is there anything you need, can I do anything, blah blah blah. I can only put it down to guilt, to be honest. I can only put that down to guilt because he knew what he was doing. Wow. He knew what he was doing.
So let's talk about what Anthony Davis was doing the night they claim he was at Teddy Simpson's house or giving orders for Teddy Simpson's to be robbed. What do you know of where Anthony was and what Anthony was doing?
Well, Anthony obviously wasn't anywhere near there. I think what happened is Anthony had a cafe. He used to have a cafe business, and the girls used to lock up, and he used to go pick the girl because one of the girls didn't drive, so he used to pick her up and take her home. Now, this girl confirmed that Anthony had picked her up that night, just like normally, to lock it up and take her home. Now, the police had said something about she wasn't credible. Her versions of events wasn't credible. I don't know. They said she wasn't credible witness. I can't explain why, because then at a later case, after this, they've then used her as a witness in a case. So that's what's happened. And then he's obviously taken her home and then returned home.
To you?
No, he didn't actually live with me at that time.
Okay. Did you speak to him that night at all?
No, not that night.
Okay. So you can't actually personally give him an alibi or?
No, and I never have tried. When the police, when I had MIT team come into my house, not long after I'd had the baby, ringing my phone, and she came to see me, and I answered all the questions, and she said to me, "Has he tried to give you an alibi? I tried to ask you to give him an alibi," and I said, "No, he hasn't asked me to do that at all." And she asked me loads of questions. Now, every single question she asked me, I answered. And the only way I can describe that is basically, I think because I wasn't giving her information that supported their theory or supported what they wanted to portray Anthony as, the pen would go down. I mean, she said to me, what I said to her is, I don't understand really why he's come here. I don't really understand how he's got my details or whatever. And she said some things which basically, just not very nice things, to be honest. I don't know if she was trying to poison me against him. I don't know. And then, she tried to get me to give her statements I could be used in court. Not for or against Anthony, just in case I were called to court. But that was it really. I just don't think. You'd have to look at this case in depth to understand that. I just don't think they cared whether Anthony had done this or whether Anthony hadn't done that. They just wanted to get him off the streets for a long time, or they wanted to close the case so that careers could be so they could further their careers. It's just complete madness, to be honest.
But it strikes me, you originally have 8 men, if you include Sonny Stewart, but even 7. But 5 of the men were jailed. What happened to the other 2?
One of the men, what happened is, 3 of the men that were convicted of raiding the house, they all got sentenced to 33 years minimum term sentence. Anthony O'Neill, which they said he had some sort of involvement, as in, I don't know whether they said he'd recruited the 3 people. I think he got like 13 years. I think one of the other co-accused got 14 years, and he was accused of being an organiser like Anthony. And then there was a man called Darren Martin, and I think he got 20-something years, and he was supposed to have been involved in the getting rid of the body, disposing of the body. So there was one man that was, I think he was charged, and I think he went to trial on trial 1, and he was found not guilty. So he got not guilty on the first trial.
And they did.
But yeah.
Okay. So now, at some point, Panorama got involved in this.
Yeah,
case.
they did. Yeah.
Tell me about that experience. What happened there?
Yeah, the Panorama. It was basically called Return of the Supergrass. It was talking about supergrasses, and obviously about the fact that they're not credible, and it was talking about different cases. So it basically highlighted a bit of Anthony's case, questioning the credibility of Supergrass's testimonies. Now, I don't know if you've heard of the top QC called Michael Mansfield.
I've worked with Michael Mansfield.
Yeah, well, he actually said on that Panorama, he said that the Supergrasses were inherently dishonest, and that while knowing about the crime, they will dress it up in a way that they put people at the scene who weren't there. And also, if I remember rightly, I think there were 3 leading QCs. I think Michael Mansfield might have been one of them, but there were 2 other QCs, and that also said that they felt that Sonny Stewart had been given a bogus charge.
Yeah.
You cannot be charged of murder, and then it'd been a completely bogus charge, basically.
Michael Mansfield is an absolutely top QC. I've worked with.
Yeah,
him.
exactly, exactly, and he agreed the fact that supergrasses are not credible. How can you? So, at what point does a suspected criminal become a credible witness? Let's not get it twisted. If we were going to be doing a case against a police officer, do you honestly think that someone that's been looked upon as a criminal would be seen as being a credible witness in court?
Yeah, Michael Mansfield was the barrister who led our case to Cardiff 3 on the appeal, and helped get our guys out of jail after 4 years for a murder they didn't commit. and there was a Supergrass involved in that one as well, who had claimed that he shared a cell with one of those co-accused, and the co-accused had admitted to him of their guilt, and his evidence had helped convict the men of this murder, and it was his evidence that also helped find them innocent, because he was proven, because they used him in 2 other cases. He was a Supergrass from Manchester. They specifically moved him and put him down into that prison so that they can get him to make that statement. And then he was proved to be, totally disreputable in 2 other cases, and that was just blown apart. Michael Mount was a top-notch. Now let's going back to Anthony now. So now Panorama have now opened up the door to this Supergrass theory, and I suppose at that point everybody was hoping that there was going to be an appeal. And there was an appeal, wasn't there?
Well, what happened is, he got knocked back.
Did he get the appeal? Did it go to trial as an appeal, or did it not get there?
No, it got knocked back. It was some time ago that I think it just got knocked back. Basically, what's happened is since then he's been, when all this evidence has obviously come to surface, it's not a case of Sonny Stewart's word against Anthony's anymore. It's a case of we can prove that Sonny Stewart were lying, and that I find it staggering that West Yorkshire Police either missed or deliberately ignored the pile of evidence that. But let's not forget that we're in their possession, that placed Stewart Sonny Stewart at the murder scene. So when that's gone to the Criminal Case Review Commission, which is the CCRC, they've knocked it back on the grounds that they still choose to, stand by what Sonny Stewart's theory is.
Yeah,
and I don't know how. I don't know how, given the fact that it's there in black and white that he were lying. He'd lied. His stop-pro agreement's been, on things that aren't true. If you're telling the truth, why do you need to go coerce someone else in what to say? Mm-hmm. If them 3 men in that house had have been talking to Anthony, why would he have had to have been telling them that the man that they were supposed to be speaking with had a lisp? Why wouldn't they have known that already? Why this footprint? Why did this footprint match the shoes that were seized from Sonny Stewart's house? Why did the independent witness description of the gunman match that of Sonny Stewart? Why did he's also confessed to one of the brothers that was involved in this case? He's admitted that Sonny Stewart confessed to him that Anthony was never there. Why have we got the fact that the cell site puts Anthony somewhere else, but yet the cell site puts Sonny Stewart at the crime scene?
There is so much. Go on. There's so much overwhelming.
Then we've got the police interview where we can all listen to that. We can watch Sonny Stewart in police interview being coerced by the police with what to say. He clearly states on camera and on interview that just the thought this guy's supposed to be a shitherer, just the thought of 3 big black men going into the house were going to be enough for him to hand the money over. And then something's scribbled down on paper, and then he looks down on the paper and he says, I don't know why I said that. Can we just stick to the script now?
Wow.
Can we just stick to the script now?
Wow.
The police, you can clearly see. I mean, I know it's hard because obviously we're on a radio station. People can't see what I've seen, but you can clearly see the fact that you can hear and see the police coercing him with what to say. He says just the thought of 3 big black men, which I don't know why I said that. I lapsed casually
because the script was 2 black men and a white guy.
Yeah, exactly, and he casually sits back and laughs. We can see you. We can see you stressed out, mate. We can see you're under a lot of pressure. It's really important that you get this right. Really important for who that he gets this right. Really important for West Yorkshire Police that he gets this right, because they want him to stick to the script.
Was Sonny Stewart known to the police?
I would imagine so. You know, I would have imagined so. If the fact that he was being looked upon as a criminal and a potential, highly involved in this case, it would make me believe that he was.
Because it's common knowledge back in those days for police to protect their informers. He may well have been a paid informer.
I think the reason why they've protected Sonny Stewart and the reason why they're still choosing to honour this agreement with Sonny Stewart is because of the fact that it would open a can of worms. The fact that how can people that are supposed to be of the highest intelligence have missed this? How can they have allowed this to go on? Bearing in mind, this isn't just about the fact of the wrongdoing of what's happened to Anthony and the fact he spent 10 years in prison for a crime he's not committed. This is about the man that died, the man that's, bearing in mind, the man that it matches the description of the gunman, the man that is admitting in a letter that is sent to a co-accused, coercing them with what to say, about, are you going to say you stayed behind with me, fam? Do you know, surely to God, how have they got justice for that man? How have they got justice for the man that's been murdered? When the potential gunman, the person that's the one running the show, so to speak, has served 3.5 years in prison and is now living at large, living life to the fullest under a new identity, free to do whatever he wants, wherever he wants to go. I mean, would you want to be housed in the same community as him? Because I wouldn't.
The bottom line is, here's the real truth. We actually don't know whether we are or not.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know where it's at. But here's the thing now. So Anthony now has now been in jail for over 10 years, still fighting to clear his name.
Yeah.
I take it the other two, because in fact there was 5 men jailed for life.
Yeah.
So the rest of them, none of them are appealing.
I don't know where they're at with their legal process. But
none of them. There's no publicity of any of them protesting their innocence.
No, I think there is one of the men that got convicted is protesting his innocence. I think there might be a couple of them actually that are, but to be honest, I don't know the ins and outs of their fight because I'm not being awful. I don't agree with wrongful convictions, and I'm not trying to be selfish in any way, but obviously I've got children, I've got a job, I've got a house, I can't,
And here's the thing, I mean, you wouldn't for any stretch of the imagination want anybody who was guilty of that crime to go free, would you?
No, definitely not. 110%.
You wouldn't be standing by anybody, including your husband, if you thought he was guilty of committing such a crime.
No, I can honestly say, hand on my heart, that if I believed, or somebody somewhere could show me something, which I've never been shown anything, that he actually did do this crime, no, it wouldn't be my husband. Not in all fairness, that's someone's family member. If someone had done that, God forbid, to one of my family members, would I want that person to be out of jail? No, I wouldn't. Would they deserve to be in jail for the rest of their life? Yes, they would. So, no, I wouldn't be doing this if he had done anything.
So you're not saying this out of misplaced loyalty?
No, I'm saying it about the truth. I'm saying it on facts of what I've seen. I've shown people these things. Bearing in mind, this was the talk of the town when this first happened. Do you know when you introducing this show and you said, there's no smoke without fire.
Yeah.
You don't just get sent to prison for something. You must have done it. I used to have that mindset.
Yeah.
I used to have that mindset because that's what everybody's mindset is, because people that watch the news and they read the papers, that's how it's, that's how they want it. They want you to believe everything you read and everything you see. I used to have that mindset, but oh my God, this has just opened a massive, I don't have that mindset anymore unless I've seen something or I've heard something with my own ears. Wrongful convictions can happen. The fact that they can convict someone to a 35-year minimum term with have been proven not to be there, on the words of one man, which we can now prove that this man was lying, the evidence stacks up against this man, it does happen.
Yeah, and unfortunately the thing is, those of us who live on the other side are fully aware of how often it does happen. I mean, there's been a long period of time where we actually thought that we had justice and legislation in place to prevent this from happening. Back in the 1980s, 1990s, for example, we had a whole rife of miscarriages of justice. And then we seem to have put some stuff in place to stop that from happening, but yet this seems to be one that has slipped through the net.
Yeah, I mean, listen to this, for example. The trial judge, when sentencing Sonny Stewart, this is what he said. This is some remarks from the trial judge. This is what he said to Sonny Stewart. You are lucky, in my view, not to have been convicted of murder, and for that you have the fact that you entered into an agreement to thank.
Wow.
That's what the trial judge said.
And the thing is, you if you was to open up with a can opener, you'd see exactly what the judge was really trying to say, because he should have been in the dock with them accused of murder.
Mm-hmm. Bearing in mind, why wasn't his picture shown in court? Why was he? Do you know, if this person is saying, the descriptions of the gunman and giving a clear description that matches that of Sonny Stewart, why did he never do a parade where this guy has to go down and point the...
Why did his defence never ask that question?
Exactly, because they do... I don't know.
I take it Sonny Stewart was never in the dock, right?
No, I think he did stand up. He did stand up, obviously. And
he stood up and gave evidence, but he was never in the dock as a co-accused, right?
No.
So when he was in the dock giving evidence, were you in court at the time?
No, I didn't go to court. The only reason let me explain why. I know people might find that a bit odd. Because I had two small children, and the fact that this. The town, it obviously happened in this city where I live. I didn't want any backlash of anything. Yeah. Bearing in mind the family of the victim are obviously being made to relieve and being told that obviously Anthony has played a part in this, which obviously didn't, but that's what they're being told. I didn't want any repercussions to come to my children, because I didn't want to put my face to the to the safety of my children, really, to be honest.
But you're doing so now, though.
Yeah, I am now, because what are we supposed to do? I'm just a genuine person. I don't just, this isn't just about having been disgusted at what's happened to Anthony, but this is about how many other people are doing this to. What about the people that haven't got any loved ones that are willing to spend their time and finding flaws that are, thinking that this is wrong? What about what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just leave a man to die in prison for a crime that is not done? Bearing in mind, he's done 10 years. They're saying that he should do another 25 years. When this man did, when the man that's done this has done 3.5 years? Yeah. Am I supposed to just go to sleep every night and just think, just leave him to do? What would anybody else do?
You've got to fight with everything that you've got. I mean, if Anthony was to be freed tomorrow, would you be back as a husband and wife item, or would you be living separate?
No, we're back together, to be honest. It's not made us weaker. I think it's made us stronger, to be honest. I know, as crazy as that might sound, but it has, and no, we would very much be together. But do you know what? If we were together, or we weren't together, does Anthony deserve to be in prison? No, he doesn't. If I have to fight forever to show people these things, that, bearing in mind, if you think of the world, if you think of the small fraction of people that I've shown, and these people are like, wow, I cannot believe that he's in prison, I cannot believe that you've got this letter, basically this police interview, and yet, why is Anthony still in prison? We don't get it. Why is he still in prison? Wow, I'm just shocked. Can you imagine if I could show everybody that?
Well, part of what I'm about to say to you is exactly that. The thing is, in order for you to continue to keep an interest in this case, you may well have to start highlighting it on a much higher level. You're going to have to get local newspapers, maybe a local news program involved in support. Show them the evidence that you've got, the overwhelming evidence that you've got.
Yeah, I have approached different people, and I have sent them. I'm not just sending them a letter, because at the end of the day, like people say, everybody. When people make statements like, "Well, everybody in prison's innocent," no, they're not. I'm not going on that whim. I understand that people might think that, but what I'm going on facts. I'm going on evidence. I'm going on the truth. So I have tried to contact people, and I've sent them evidence which supports Anthony's innocence. But it's just trying to get somebody that's willing to take it on, that's willing to show these facts. It is quite hard, really, to be honest. The amount of people that I've contacted and the amount of responses that I've had, it's just,
Have you spoken to George Barwood at all? Have you heard of George Barwood?
Was he convicted? Was he wrongly convicted of something?
No, George Barwood is an advocate you'll find on the wrongful convictions group page. And he'll endorse and adopt cases and start profiling and highlighting them and helping you project them in a positive way.
That'd be definitely worth.
He's in the UK.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. Yeah. Well, any help, I'd appreciate anything, to be honest. Any help in trying to get it out there, because I truly do think that in the British courts, the only chance you've ever got of getting justice is by getting as much media attention, by getting as much public to see what you're saying, to see the facts, to see the evidence that you're going on. I think that is the only way you're ever going to get justice in the British courts, by so many people watching the case that it makes it impossible. It makes it impossible for them to. It makes it impossible for them to not do something about it.
And that's the thing. And I suppose in using some of these social media groups, it's about you continuing to plaster that information in there so that people don't miss it. That if they don't look today and they look tomorrow, it's still there. You've really got to start upping the ante, so to speak. And generating some interest so that people start asking the questions and coming back to you and saying, well, I want to hear more. What happened with this? I'm hoping that what we do with this show is a start off, because we'll be posting the show in the wrongful conviction group also, and many of the others, stop convicting the guilty, stop convicting the innocent, the Guilty in Innocence Project, and groups like that. So we're going to be looking to try and project it a lot more for you. But there's obviously a great deal that you've got to do, and you've got to start doing it from a local level. Your local newspaper, your local TV station. You've got to try and get them interested, and get parts of the community behind you until you've got the community behind you.
Yeah. Okay.
Because for me, the evidence is absolutely overwhelming, and an innocent man is rotting in jail, while the guilty man is walking free, living a life. And he's able to start after 3.5 years. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. I just have to go down them avenues that you just explained to me, what I, and try and get as many people, hopefully, to take note of what I'm saying, and that's all I can do, to be honest.
How has Anthony been on all of this?
Obviously, it's been a long time now, hasn't it? And I think it's disheartening. I think at the end of the day, if you've been trying to, if you know you haven't done something and you've been trying to prove your innocence for so long, and obviously you've got the facts to show and the evidence to show people, but you keep getting knocked back when you just can't, all the evidence is overwhelming. It is disheartening. I think he just, I don't know, does he live every day thinking, is he ever going to get out? I don't,
How often do you go and see him?
We try to go every week, because we've gone to visit him every week since children have been, obviously Ashley's been born, and the kids, we try to go once a week. But sometimes he's been moved to prison so far away, like we live in the north of the country, and at one point he was moved to a prison near, in like Cambridge, so obviously it's quite far away.
It's not as easy to get to.
No, I mean, I do drive, but it's like, obviously, it might take you 2 hours, 2.5 hours to get there, and you've got to sit and wait about, and then you only have a 2-hour visit, so you could be setting off at 9:30 in the morning and not getting home till 7 o'clock at night for the sake of 2 hours of a 2-hour visit. Obviously, we'd do it because we want to visit him, but it's not the ideal.
I spoke to a woman on this show last week whose husband is that far away. She actually has to drive overnight and sleep in her car in order for her to visit him the next day.
Yeah, I know some people have it. You know, we've been in the prison before where we've been in Durham, which is not far from Newcastle, and I know people have travelled from London. I think they just put the place them wherever, don't they? I don't think they understand the strain on the families. I mean, you know, some people have to travel a lot further than what we do.
Has Anthony ever given any idea as to how he feels about Sonny after what Sonny has done to him? I mean, what does he say about Sonny now?
You know what? I think he obviously he done. I think he's upset because of the fact that they'd grown up together. They were like cousins. But I think, you know, I think all Anthony wants to do is, I think he just wants to clear his name. He just wants to get the truth out there. I think Anthony thinks, you know, he doesn't agree with Sonny. He doesn't agree with what Sonny said. But I think he's under the understanding that obviously it was a case of getting himself out of a big hole and putting someone else in it, wasn't it, really?
Well, I mean, he sounds like a bigger and a better man than me, because I couldn't imagine any other emotion in me but sheer rage and anger at somebody who'd done that to me. So,
no, I know.
Where do you see yourselves going now? What's the way forward for you all?
You've hit the nail on the head, really. I just need to try and get as many people as I possibly can to listen, to look at this evidence and just, you know, look at the evidence, take the evidence on board, and hopefully someone somewhere that's willing to publish it and show this case really for what it is. To be honest, I think that's what I need to do. I honestly think without people getting on board, without, you know, people publishing this and more people can see what's happened, I don't know how we'll get forward. That's what I think I need to do.
I mean, you're his advocate now. You and his dad, I believe, you're the advocates. You're his mouthpiece on the outside, and if you guys ain't going to be shouting for him, then nobody's going to hear. So,
yeah, exactly.
You know, use the information that you've got. You've got the bits that have come from Panorama. You've got what Mike Mansfield have said, and all of that really is irrelevant and secondary when you look to the comparison of the information and the evidence that you've actually got stacked up in his favour. You know, the cell sites, the shoe prints, the description from Gary Folkard, and all the absolutely overwhelming conflicting evidence that puts Anthony out of the picture and puts Sonny Stewart in it.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, the letter that he sent to the co-accused, the coercion, the video evidence of his interview with the police.
Yeah.
That one sentence, let's stick to the script, is absolutely more compounding than you can absolutely imagine.
No,
I mean, that's him suggesting that there is an alternative agenda to that interview.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, in other words, what he's actually admitting to there is he said something out of place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that wasn't on the script.
Yeah, so let's stick to the script. And the police don't. If I was a police officer interviewing somebody in such a serious crime, I'd be like, well, what script are we talking about?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Because at the minute, the fact that they don't contest it means that they're complicit to it.
Yeah, I think I know.
So you need to be looking for somebody who's. I mean, and again, George, you start sharing that information with somebody like George Barwood. He's not the man that will do stuff for you, but he's an advocate, and he'll point you in the right direction as to where you can start shouting.
Yeah,
and you will find George Barwood on the wrongful conviction group. And I'll try and find a way of introducing you guys, but to each other and making sure that you guys can start having a conversation.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, look, I know we said we were going to do 2 hours, but I'm not going to milk it when there's no more. Unless there's anything else that you want to add today, Sarah.
No, that's it. Thank you. I hope I've covered everything that you've wanted to discuss. Obviously, if there's any questions that you feel you've asked me and I've not been able to answer them, I can provide you with further information. So I'm just thankful of you giving me your time and letting me, explain the situation to new faces and new people.
Well, Sarah, once again, I'd just like to thank you for sharing your story with us, and we hope and pray that Anthony gets another appeal and gets released from a sentence that he doesn't deserve.
Yeah, so do I, but thank you very much.
Okay, you take care and we'll speak soon.
Same to you, thank you, bye.
Bye-bye. That's it, we're out of here. Sorry, folks.
I already did my time. I paid for my crime. I already did my time. I paid for my crime. I already did my time. I paid for my crime. I already did my time. I paid for my crime. I already did my time. I paid for my crime. Back in the day, I didn't really care about the system. It was all about survival. It was do or die. I had too many rivals. I was too young and foolish to stay in school. I learned my lessons in the streets. There was not a man I couldn't beat. I was good with my hands and very quick on my feet. I was swimming in women. I had girls all over the street. I was getting money. Life was so sweet. Now things have changed. The whole game has been rearranged. I'm a changed man. Don't need no gun in my hand. It ain't about being no gangster. Life is too short to spend it all in jail. Trying to cope with this living hell. Already did my time. I paid for my crime. Already did my time. I paid for my crime. Already did my time. I paid for my crime. Already did my time. I paid for my crime. Already did my time. I paid for my crime. I was a drug dealer, sold more drugs than Superfly, but I never got high on my own supply. I'm not proud of what I had to do. That's why I'm telling my story to you and you. I had to repent. I must admit, I was doing all kind of stupid shit. Now sit back and think it over since I've gotten older. The life I used to live, I wouldn't do it again. I was young and dumb, my brain was so numb. I was a real Forrest Gump, but I was nobody's chump. Me and Billy the Kid had a lot in common. I was the real Terminator, much meaner than Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'd chew you up and spit you out like a real alligator, especially all you haters.
The opening statements are going on right now. He could be facing life in prison. Prison.
Already did my time, paid for my crime. Already did my time. Already did my time, paid for my crime. Already did my time. Pay for my crime, pay for my crime, pay for my crime, pay for my crime. Already did my time, I paid for my crime. Already did my time, I paid for my crime. I'm trying to get this felony off my back so I can get my life on track and have the right to vote and live like an ordinary citizen again. This is my message to all of my friends in the pen, statewide, worldwide. There was not a man I couldn't beat. I was good with my hands and very quick on my feet. I was swimming in women. I had girls all over the street. I was getting money. Life was so sweet. Now things have changed. The whole game has been rearranged. I'm a changed man. Don't need no gun in my hand. It ain't about being no gangster. Life is too short to spend it all in jail. Trying to cope with this living hell. Already did my time. I paid for my crime. Already did my time. I paid for my crime. Already did my time. I paid for my crime. Already did my time. I paid for my crime. Already did my time. I paid for my.
Well, an early finish to this week's issues today. I want to thank Sarah Clark for sharing her story with us. And we're praying that Andy Davis will get justice, freedom, and Sonny Stewart will get what's coming to him.
I had to repent. I must admit, I was doing all kind of stupid shit. Now I sit back and think it over since I've gotten older. The life I used to live, I wouldn't do it again. I was young and dumb. My brain was so numb. I was a real fool.
Do you like music like this?
Great music all the time.
Or like this?
The music you love.
Maybe this.
Great music that makes you want to turn up the volume loud.
Or like this.
Especially where human life is concerned. Surely, sooner or later, people will realize that lives actually matter.
Then you're in the right place. Keep it locked to World Jam Global, where music is harmony.
Music 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
Yeah, you're my World Jam. Hotter than them.
See live schedule.
Hi, my name is DJ Matt. Join me each and every Sunday for the old school reggae experience, the thing we call
Time Tunnel.
between the hours of 12 and 3 each and every Sunday, all right, on the big one.
World Jam Global.
This is Younger General, and you can listen to the Younger General's Mix by Mix show each and every Thursday between the hours of 7 and 9 on the World Jam Global. Listen.
World Jam Global.
It's inspiring and uplifting, and it feels good to my soul. I start my Sunday mornings listening to Dr. Feel Good's Wake Up Everybody Sunday Gospel Show, exclusively on World Jam Global Radio, where music is harmony.
Welcome to WorldJamRadio.com, where music is harmony. Our DJs transmitting from around the world. We provide ourselves with a mix of range of music and talk shows. We interact. Our chat room, allow members to interact with live DJs. We are available in all platforms, including TuneIn. We promote new talents, so please feel free. Send your demo to info@worldjamglobal.com. And if you didn't know, we welcome all new DJs who want to join our diverse team from any part of the world. So get connected, lock in.
World Jam Global Radio. This is clarity.